welcome back to another Megiddo Gaming video. Alright, let's get right into part 6 of powers and rotations. First off is Cloud of Steel. This is what we'll use to engage the enemy and proc our companion's gift. I, however, used the doohickey from the Wanders of Gond event, which you can buy on the trade house. This allows me to put 2 at-wills that will be of better use instead of Cloud of Steel. One of those at-wills is Sly Flourish. That one will give us a debuff to the enemy we're attacking and will be used as a filler when attacking our enemies between our rotation of encounters. Our first encounter, which is Dazing Strike, this will give us a lot of damage on single point, but from stealth will actually hit all enemies in a cone in front of us, no matter how many enemies there are, to deal maximum damage. Bloodbath is something you'll want to put some points into, but that'll be for another video, but I wanted to let you know about it. Our next encounter is Lashing Blade. This is by far our most high damage dealing encounter. This one, used from stealth, will give us 50% additional crit severity. Since we are no longer using Vorpal, it will help a lot. Lurker's Assault, that's for another build. Whirlwind of Blades, by far one of the most important dailies that we have, and I'll show you how to use that effectively through what's called power stacking. And then Duelist Flurry is what I use in place of Cloud of Steel when using the doohickey. This will deal a lot of damage, especially from the bleeds that it deals out at the end of the chain. Our next power is Impossible to Catch. This one will work with one of our feats and able to help us be more invulnerable, but will also help with that feat to give us more power, and I'll show you how that affects our rotation. The next power, which would be Path of Blades, this one is situational. A lot of people say they don't like using it and that it's worthless. Mostly I'll show that in other builds, especially our solo builds. Infiltrator's Action, this class feature that we're going to use gives combat advantage to all enemies in your immediate area. So when you use Smoke Bomb or Path of Blades, they're all taking combat advantage damage, not just the one you have surrounded. Our other daily is Courage Breaker. This is the only power that will affect bosses that are immune to control effects. This will debuff the enemy to the point where they'll deal less damage to you. You'll also deal additional damage, and this will work with the other part of power stacking along with Whirlwind of Blades. We'll go over that later. Skillful Infiltrator should only be used if you're really hurting in critical chance or in certain builds, which will go in future videos. Smoke Bomb should be in every build that you have. It will fluctuate as your power does. It will deal more damage depending on what buffs that you have, and it can cover a large area of damage with a small DOT. Invisible Infiltrator is a must-have class feature. This increases our damage output greatly, especially gives us our stealth back when we use a daily power, which we'll be doing very frequently because of our high AP gain and our snail mount. And then Blade Flurry, you just want to throw some points in there for a future build video. Let's start with the mob rotation. We're going to instigate the enemy with our doohickey or the Cloud of Steel. We're then going to use our mount combat power while running up to the enemy. We're going to stealth, Smoke Bomb. We're going to do our Whirlwind of Blades to start our power stacking. Impossible to Catch to add more power. Then we're going to use our Sigil of Devoted for even more power and AP gain. Stealth, because we get that back, and then Dazing Strike. We're going to then use our Sly Flourish to apply our 10% damage debuff. And as you can see, our AP gain is filling back up. Once it becomes all the way filled back up, we're going to use Courage Breaker. This is going to stack our power even higher, and then when we go back through, you'll see our encounter powers coming back up. So we want to stack more power using Impossible to Catch before popping off our Courage Breaker. Gives us our stealth back. You want to stealth, then Dazing Strike, or if you're low on crit, you can use Smoke Bomb. So I did both examples there. You can then continue with Sly Flourish. If it's expired, it only lasts for, I believe, 15 seconds. And then you'll want to go back and do another Whirlwind of Blades. So, standard rotation, Whirlwind of Blades for your daily, Courage Breaker for your daily, then another Whirlwind of Blades to do more stacking. Now I'm going to show you this in a real-world environment just at real speed. Doohickey to instigate, start the rotation, small mob of 3 enemies, Sigil of Devoted, Sly Flourish to help debuff, and the rest is pretty much history. Now, depending on how much power output you have, and especially if you're like this doing solo, you're not going to have as much power. When you stack your power, at least with my build currently, and I do not have completely best in slot, I'm about 140,000 power. Now for single point, you want to start with Sly Flourish to apply your 10% debuff. This will also give you time to proc Companion's Gift as well as get buffs from your teammates. Now you're going to Smoke Bomb, Stealth Impossible to Catch, use your Mount Combat Power, use Whirlwind of Blades, then you're going to use, if available, your artifact, then Stealth Lashing Blade. And power stack with Courage Breaker just like we do in the mob rotation. You may not be able to keep the rotation consistent at that time, especially considering if you're getting buffs for your recovery, you're going to get your encounter powers back before your AP gain and your stealth. You'll want to use your encounter powers as soon as possible just to do as much damage, but if you're getting your recovery back quick enough, you're going to be able to find your way back into the rotation. Now I know some people wanted me to demonstrate this. This is a pug group that I found. Some really great guys. I actually added them to my friends list. And we were able to take care of Orcus really quickly. I don't look at how much damage I do right away. I spawned into the Orcus battle. I didn't start from the very beginning. But it's over 1 billion in damage. I'm the only DPS in this group. The Guardian Fighter is not a DPS Guardian Fighter. And we actually go through him pretty quickly. But we weren't communicating either, and that's a big thing when you're in a group. Doesn't matter if you're in a pug or a formed group, you want a level of communication. There were times when I was not able to get the fire from the Wheel of Elements that they were giving me because I was not aware that they were going to pop it. They were also not able to communicate between each other on who should pop theirs and when it expires to pop the next one. We still did fairly well. Damage output's not too bad. You can see numbers in here going over millions. I'll actually, if you look closely, some of them over 5 million. It depends on where I'm at in the rotation and what I pick up. As you can see on my bar right now, I do not have Wheel of Elements on me. But what we ended up having to do is ditch the Guardian Fighter and switch to a Great Weapon Fighter. Now, being in a pug group, this is where we actually started communicating. We formed a party, and we found that in order to kill the souls, we needed the AoE damage that the Great Weapon Fighter could dish out. Just because I'm not fully best in slot, and the amount of damage, especially if we don't all get into the circle and they become empowered, it's near impossible to kill the souls. So after being able to communicate with them, able to pick up the wheels when they're thrown down, we really didn't have much problem taking care of them. Definitely let me know of anything that I may have missed. A lot of this becomes muscle memory after a while, and so if I went too fast somewhere or left something out, definitely ask me questions. You want a guaranteed answer, like I said, Twitter, Facebook, I'll always get the notifications from those. And I really hope you enjoyed this series. I'm going to put out some future videos that branch off of this build as far as an update to the support class that we had, healer, and as well as a solo build. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'll also be doing videos on the events coming up as far as the Jubilee and the Charge event. So keep your eyes open for those. Thanks for watching. Click the left to see the previous video, click to the right to see another video, and down at the bottom to subscribe. And to stay up to date with what's going on with the channel, follow on Facebook and Twitter.